pod for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. On today's video, I want to show you a preset that I've put together mostly for my own enjoyment, but I want to share it with all of you. It's very inspired by David Gilmour's 90s Pink Floyd rig, and the key to it revolves around taking a big muff fuzz, which we have in the Axe FX in the drive block as the Pi-Fuzz, and boosting it a variety of different ways. Before we talk about that, I've got a Fender Buddy Guy Strat with gold lace sensors on the neck pickup. I'm plugging it straight into the Axe FX3, and I've got the high power jumped amp model at the settings you can see. I haven't tweaked any advanced settings on this. I just turned the treble gain up a little bit, played around with the EQ, and I brought the master volume up just a little bit. I've had the pleasure of playing a real 70s high watt in a room, and it's maybe the loudest, cleanest amp I've ever played in my life. This particular model gets a little bit of grit on it at ththese settings. I've paired it with an EV IR. This is one of my own IRs, shared with my Gift of Tone pack and up on Exchange, and a little bit of the excellent Rich Hall reverb at stock settings. Let's hear it. So we're going to use that as our platform for our dirty sound. What I've done is I've selected the Pi-Fuzz in the drive block. I've turned the sustain control down a little bit and the tone control up. Let's actually have a play around with these. I'll give you my kind of preferred starting point, but with this particular model, sustain is just going to give you lots of distortion and fuzz, and tone, it kind of sweeps you from, a bassier, I don't want to say more neutral tone, but a bassier tone through to something that is simultaneously kind of brighter but more mid-scooped as well. So let's have a listen to that. Now, even though that control on there is called sustain, it is just adding a whole bunch of distortion. I personally like to turn this down a little bit just to kind of get that nice warm fuzz tone out of it. You could combine that with some delay and it's pretty good. But looking at David Gilmour's rig for the Division Bell and for the Pulse concert, which has some of my favorite guitar tones ever recorded on it, seems like they were boosting the fuzz either with a tube driver of some variety or with a compressor. So I want to try both of those approaches, then we'll try some different approaches on there. So let's add another drive block on here. I will use drive 2. I've got it set to the 4-knob tube driver with the gain right down, just tweak the bass and treble to where I like them, and I've turned the level up a bit here. So we're just pushing the front of the fuzz that little bit harder. Let's have a listen to what the tube driver does just to the amp on its own. It's pretty subtle. Then we'll try it in front of the fuzz. I just added 440 milliseconds of the vintage digital delay, mix at about 12%. That's pretty sweet on there. Again, very inspired by Gilmour's settings that have been shared widely on the internet. So the tube driver's cool, but I think what I actually prefer is this compressor. So let's add a compressor block in here. I've set it to the pedal compressor number 1. David used a bunch of different compressors, but I think most people associate him with the little blue Boss compressor. So I've gone with pedal compressor 1. I've just turned the compression up to 7. Now this is kind of giving me the sustain that I wanted out of this fuzz. When I turn the sustain control up on here, it's not quite the same as having the sustain where I like it for the tone, and then using the compressor to smooth out all my picking and give me some extra sustain. So let's hear that now. That's awesome. I really like that combination. I would have never have thought that a compressor and a fuzz together would be something that would give me that particular sound, but it seems to be doing it. You could try the JFET Sustainer as an alternative. This is a new type, but I love this with the sustain cranked up. Let's hear the difference between it on and off. Compressor is definitely more subtle though. I love that combo in there. A few other things you could try is, say, take the Pi-Fuzz and boost it with, say, the Clone Chiron model in here. I like the treble control up and the level on here. So we're just kind of hitting the muff a lot harder and we're pushing some of the mids and high end on there. Let's hear it. Another combo that I really like, just kind of stepping away maybe a few steps from that original one, is using the Griddle Cake, the hot cake model, instead of the Pi-Fuzz. This one can still sound quite fuzzy, but it's got this presence control in here, which really lets you dial it in for your amp if you want it super dark and woofy, or you want a little bit more sparkle in there. Just crank the drive and the level up on it, and then we can hit that with, say, the Clone or the compressor, and it's a pretty cool alternative. I'll let you hear the muff first, and then we'll go to the hot cake. Experiment with things like running the drive into the compressor and vice versa. I think the lesson that I like to take away from this is that you can look at real-world rig diagrams and get some inspiration for building new and different presets on your Axe effects. You don't have to outlay any money. Gilmour's kind of pedal board and amp setup uses some very hard to find pieces and some rare custom stuff, so much of which is modeled already in the Axe effect. So I kind of like to take these classic rigs or famous rigs and try to recreate them in the Axe, get them to a point where, it sort of sounds similar, or it might use some routing that I'm not used to, and then I will tweak it to taste and take that template and run with it to create something all my own. Let me know if you've got any questions or comments in the comments section below. The IR and preset will be linked in the video description. I'm going to play you all out now with my C- grade David Gilmour impression. Have a great day.